If the wheel on your car is getting hot and you're not sure what's causing it, is it the brake pads, is it the calipers, is it the glider pins? In this video, we'll go through the diagnostics on how to figure out what's going on and how to fix it. If you lift the wheel, you can see this wheel barely moves at all. We go over to the other side, you can see the wheel moves no problem. If we shake the wheel, there's no movement in the bearing. With a long bar, there's no movement when you lift up. We'll remove the wheel. Rotor will not spin at all. We'll open up the bleed screw, a 6-point socket to break it loose. Bleed off some of this fluid and see if the pressure releases. Rotor's still not spinning. Close up the bleeder screw. We'll check the guide pins. Bolts out, we'll pull the caliper off. Tie up the caliper so it doesn't fall and damage the rubber hose. The brake pads do shake and they do move. Now everything moves. The pads do slide, so that kind of rules out that the pads were stuck. We spin the bearing, everything feels nice and smooth, so I don't suspect the bearing. Compress the piston in the caliper and see how it slides back. It should compress very smooth. The piston does compress nice and smooth. We're going to push on the brake and see how smooth the cylinder comes out. The piston retracted nice and smooth as well. The guide pins are nice and smooth. The other side, the brake pads are almost brand new. We'll retract this piston and compare it to the other side to see how smooth it goes in and out. If you compare that other side to this side that's been spinning, there's a world of difference. You can actually turn this one with your left hand instead of your right hand. So sometimes you have to compare one side to the other to see if the caliper is tight or working properly. On this side, you'll spin until you find a hard stop. Very smooth, much smoother than the other side. Push the brake, the piston should come out and retract just a little bit. After retracting the piston in a few times, it feels a lot smoother, so we're going to put the pads on and see how it reacts. Make sure the rails are nice and clean. Don't fit, you want to grind them to make sure they do fit. You can see this one fits really nice. They should move back and forth without any grease. We'll add grease on both of these ears here though. High temperature grease, just don't get any on the pads. Just the ears. Put everything back together. Push on the brake and then we'll see if it retracts. Piston did not retract, so we're going to have to rebuild the cylinder. On the other side, it spins with no problem. Push the brake until the piston pops completely out. Work off the rubber. We'll give one more pump. There it is. Pull out the piston. We'll wipe everything out, make sure there's no grit in there. We'll polish out the piston, put it back together. If this doesn't work, we'll rebuild it with new parts. Wipe everything out with a nice clean rag. You can feel a little bit of contamination on the ring inside. Polish the piston. Wire wheel will clean out the corrosion on the other side. It's real shiny, but I do see some small pits. Slide everything back together and give it a try. We're going to go ahead and pull the rubber piece off with this ring. As we're pulling this rubber piece off, we might as well just do a whole rebuild here. These rebuild kits are only about $2 to $3. The kit comes with the O-ring, the rubber, the metal. We'll go ahead and get all the corrosion out of there and pull out that O-ring. Pretty easy to pull out. There's quite a bit of dirt on this. If we clean this up, this would probably work, but since you've got it out for $2, it's not worth it. The rubber boot has quite a bit of dirt on it too. While getting the piston in, we tore the boot, so that definitely needs to be replaced. If there's any tears, it's got to be replaced. It's not necessary to take the caliper off the car, but it does have to be cleaned. Take your time getting all that corrosion out of there. And the new O-ring. New O-ring is put in there. It goes in pretty easy. Put the new rubber seal on the piston. They go on pretty easy when they're new. We'll put the piston in. Use a C-clamp to get everything started. With a wooden stick, you can go ahead and get the rubber put in. Our retention ring, you can press it in with the wooden stick. Bleeder's in pretty bad shape. We're going to go ahead and put a new one in. We'll bleed the brakes. Make sure there's no air in there. That looks good. Put the brake on. Now nothing will spin because the brake's on. We release the brake. Now everything spins like it should. We'll take it on a test drive and everything feels really good. We'll stop. Really nice. Everything's working good. If your wheel seizes up, that's how you go through the diagnostic process and how to fix it.